Is Bitcoin about to boom? That's the topic of today's video, and I'm going to explain why I have this thesis about is Bitcoin going to boom and what is the potential and why. And so I'm going to dive into that in this episode. Welcome to Just Crypto Insights. My name is Rogier, and if you like this content, please hit the like button and subscribe. So let's start with why Bitcoin might have the opportunity to boom. So let's first talk about supply. When you are in crypto, if you're new in crypto or longer in crypto, myself, I've been in crypto since 2020. I've been making content about crypto also for around 5 years now. One of the things that is unmistakably clear is that the Bitcoin supply trend, which you can see now on your screen, is about to hit a flat line in a couple of years. This means that most of the supply of Bitcoin is already on the market. The price of Bitcoin is around $105,000, and yes, fluctuation. There are a couple of uncertainties ahead of us. What's going to be the final verdict around the tariffs from Trump? How's the market going to react? How's the inflation going? The monetary policy? A lot of those things will be clear between now and July 9th. So in the next short period of time, we're going to see what the potential is going to be for the remainder of this year. The reason I'm showing you this chart is that if you look at it, so this is 20 million, this is the 20 million line. 2020, there was already around 18 million Bitcoin mined. That's what the halving cycle of Bitcoin means. At first, there's a big increase in supply. So Bitcoin is getting on the market. People are getting their hands on Bitcoin. And gradually, and then suddenly, there's almost no Bitcoin coming into the market. The last Bitcoin will be mined in 2140. That's going to take some time, and we will not be there to witness it. And there's another chart that I'm going to show you in a second. And then you will also understand that there might be a big boom coming for Bitcoin, potentially in 2025, when the stars align. And I just want to show you this second chart to support my story. Bitcoin is a currency of the people, right? It's decentralized. There's no third party. You can send a transaction. You can send value from peer to peer, from person to person, without anyone being able to block the transaction, as long as you have an internet connection. It's a very powerful financial tool, and it's already been used by millions and millions of people across the world, that supports their daily lifestyle, especially in countries that are in development, that have very high inflation and little to less possibilities to even spend money. All the unbanked people, for instance. Without going too deep on that subject right now, what I want to show you is this trend, this trend you cannot ignore by corporate holdings and ETF holdings. Of course, there's a flat line because previously businesses were not really able to buy Bitcoin, right? There was no ETF. And now Bitcoin is being bought at an incredible pace. The ETFs already absorbed over $110 billion of transaction volume to buy Bitcoin. And businesses already crossed 70 billion in value buying Bitcoin. Hence the two almost vertical lines. When you combine these two charts with the supply of Bitcoin and the demand of Bitcoin, there's going to be a point, possibly in the near future, when there's going to be such a dramatic supply squeeze. There is no supply, and the demand is just going to keep rising and rising. Even Trump already communicated about making a fund and purchasing for $2.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. There is not enough Bitcoin for everyone. There's only 21 million Bitcoin. The question is, when is the big boom coming? Because now you hear all these parties like, oh, they're buying thousands of Bitcoin or hundreds of Bitcoin. And why is the needle not really moving? There is a reason why the needle is not moving so quickly. That's why we are not at 200,000 as we speak. The reason is that most of the larger transaction is being bought over the counter. And over the counter is not the same as buying Bitcoin on an exchange, where you place your order in an order book and it gets filled based on the supply and demand at the moment on the exchange of your choosing. So over-the-counter trades might for instance be mining companies that want to sell a large chunk of their Bitcoin holdings directly to a, for instance, corporate company that wants to buy 1 billion worth of Bitcoin. And the mining party does not want the slippage on an exchange to have the risk of large price fluctuations and therefore uncertainty on what amount of money the mining company might receive for the Bitcoin that they are selling. There's been an article where it's also stated that the amount of Bitcoin is drastically being reduced on over-the-counter trades, almost by 75%. And that means that there is not enough Bitcoin for everybody to go around. So will there be a big boom for Bitcoin in 2025, even when the price is already 105,000? It's very possible. It's very possible. And that also implies the question, is there a possibility that the 4-year cycle for Bitcoin is going to end because the supply is going to have a flat line in the near future? So what's going to be the impact of future Bitcoin halvings on the Bitcoin price? That's a very interesting topic that I will cover in a later video. But for now, will Bitcoin boom in 2025? Yes, it's still very possible. We also have the Bitcoin Act in the United States, which when passed through Congress, that means that the United States will grow to 1 million Bitcoin that they will not sell. And it has to be budget neutral, so the taxpayer is not paying extra money for the government to buy Bitcoin. I'm a little bit hesitant that it will actually go through, but when it goes through, we're going to see crazy things. So when you are in Bitcoin, you're in a good place. When you're not yet in Bitcoin, you should really consider to buy Bitcoin, because the risk of not having Bitcoin for your portfolio is larger than having Bitcoin in your portfolio. That's based on the data from the last 16 years. You cannot deny that. And again, look at this chart and let it sink in. Let it sink in when the supply is going to, the line is going to be flat. It's going to be somewhere in the early 2030s. That's only 5 years from now. It's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. That means somewhere between now and the next halving might be the last opportunity to get the most amount of Bitcoin in your portfolio to have a option for incredible wealth. That's my analysis. That's my message for this video. Is Bitcoin about to boom in 2025? There is a possibility that it will boom in 2025. And in my opinion, it's just a matter of time before you're just too late to really get your hands on a whole Bitcoin, for instance, especially towards 2030. So yeah, there are enough possibilities, there are enough options. So you should really consider and start diving into it. And of course, follow Just Crypto Insights for more insights on the crypto market. Thank you for watching. Leave a thumbs up if you like this video, and also comment down below underneath the video what you think about this big boom and about the facts that I just showed you, and yeah, how are you going to act to it. Looking forward to it, and I will see you in the next one. Enjoy the rest of your day.